Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2024 film Imaginary, and this is directed by Jeff Wadlow and stars the Wonder Wise and Piper Braun. When Jessica moves back to her old childhood home, her stepdaughter Alice begins to develop an imaginary friend in the form of a stuffed bear named Chauncey, and what seems harmless at first becomes a lot more sinister. Now, I gotta be honest, guys, I was quite excited for Imaginary. I put it in my top 10 most anticipated horror movies of 2024, a video I done back in December. If you want to see that video, I'll leave it in the link down below. But this one, it kind of just looked interesting to me. I didn't have too much to go on, but it looked like there was going to be a bear that was kind of alive and doing things behind the adult's back, and the kid was going to get blamed, kind of like Child's Play a little bit, and it was very far from that after watching this movie, but that's what got me up for it anyway. So what did I think of Imaginary? Let's find out. I gotta be honest, this movie does live up to its name very well, Imaginary, because the movie centres around the theme of creativity. It's not just this young girl, played by Piper Braun, who is developing this imaginary friend, but the main protagonist of the movie, played by the Wonder Wise, is actually a creative artist, and she comes up with all these things in her head, all these animated drawings and stuff, and that really winds its way into the story. It's all about creativity, especially in the third act, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. Now, that comes to fruition a hell of a lot. So this movie definitely focuses on what is in the mind. And the two main protagonists of this film, I kind of liked. I mean, I thought Jessica, played by the Wonder Wise, was a good protagonist to get behind. She's kind of up against it with these two teenage stepdaughters that she has here with her new husband, because they kind of don't, well, I'd say one of them really makes it hard for her, the older stepdaughter. She really doesn't want her to replace her mother or anything, and she's trying her best. She looks like a very caring person, and you kind of want it to work out for her, because it's not really her fault that her husband's wife or ex-wife has kind of lost the plot a little bit there. She is just doing her best, basically. So you kind of latch onto her. She's good to follow throughout the movie. But I thought the real star of the film was Alice, played by Piper Braun. Now, she's the young child in this film. She's only about 6 years old, and she's the one with the imaginary friend. Now, I can see a lot of people being kind of turned off by this character because she comes across as a little bit of annoying for some people. But for me, I thought she'd done exactly what a 6, 5, 7-year-old would probably act like. I mean, she's kind of got one of them annoying voices and stuff, but it kind of works. It's not like one of them kids who just frustrates you and gets under your skin. I thought that she put in a very good performance, and it will not work for everyone, but I thought she was definitely the star of the film here, and one of the biggest positives for Imaginary. I gotta be honest, as the movie went on, especially for the first hour, I was really intrigued to find out what this Chauncey character wanted, this bear that has become the imaginary friend for Alice, because things are starting to happen. Like, it starts off as very playful games and stuff that Alice seems to be doing with Chauncey, but they start to get a little bit more sinister, where pain is involved at times, or things that get you down. This Chauncey is really pushing negative vibes on Alice, is what it seems in the movie anyway, and the main character Jessica sort of gets onto that. And I was kind of thinking, where is this going? So I was intrigued enough to see what the whole backstory was behind this character. And I really wanted to delve deeper, and hoped for the second half of the movie that it was going to be a good outcome when we got to the explanation of it all, because the build-up is done pretty well. I gotta be honest, guys, I don't know if this is really a spoiler or not, but something happens in the middle of the movie, and I was just like, oh, I did not see that coming. So it wasn't just the Chauncey character that had me intrigued and all his backstory and what's going on with him and Alice, but something else happens, and I'm like, now this makes it even more interesting. So I appreciated that. Unfortunately, after that twist, the movie does become a little bit too ambitious for its own good. Nothing wrong with being ambitious, but you've got to execute it properly, and this movie definitely does not do that. But what I will say is there was some Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 vibes thrown in there, which I appreciated the nostalgia throwback for. And when the second half of the movie happens, it just become a jumbled mess that I just didn't care for anymore. I mean, I knew what was going on, but it does throw one thing after the other, and you really do have to keep up. And it just is all built very sloppily. I was like, okay, I get what it's going for, but it's just not sticking the landing here. And unfortunately, I just wanted the movie to end. The second half really is that bad. The first half of the movie is the best part of the film. Some may disagree with that, and that's fine. But nothing even really happened in the first half of the movie, but I enjoyed all the build up until this big reveal, which just fell off a cliff. And Taylor, the older sister, played by Tegan Burns, was just a really unlikable character in this film. She's really given a hard time to the main protagonist, and I understand that it's probably hard for her mother to be replaced by this woman, but she really pushes the envelope. I mean, she just goes a little bit too far. She's hanging around with this silly drug dealer guy from next door, or this drug abuser, should I say, who's just an asshole. I just didn't want her on the screen. Every time she came into the movie, I was just biting my lip as if to say, man, you're just so out of line there. She was just very unlikable, and I didn't care. By the time there may have been a story arc for her and Jessica, I just didn't care because she gave it enough of a hard time as it is, and Jessica tried her best with her. Also, Gloria, who lives next door, played by Betty Buckley, is another bad character in this movie. It's really only the two main protagonists who stand out in this film. Everyone else, you can take them or leave them, but Gloria, wow, she really gave lots of expedition dumps, and it was just really coming off cringy. It's like she's telling us the story constantly, especially in this one moment for about 15 minutes. She's just explaining things over and over, and it felt very forced. But not only that, she comes out with these real cringy, sayings and lines of dialogue, and I was like, oh my god. And her performance just wasn't good either. The line delivery and stuff just felt very off. Another character I couldn't stand in this film. When it comes to the horror as well, the jump scares are quite terrible in this movie with added sound effects. It seems like we're getting this a lot lately. I mean, I know it's been around for a while, but I think I can think of 5 or 6 movies off the top of my head that just constantly do this, and it doesn't work. We've already had Night Swim this year that was doing it, and Baghead. There's 2 off the top of my head from 2024, and they were better than this movie, I've got to say. I mean, the jump scares here are embarrassing. They really are. And the voice work on some of these creepy characters in the movie, let's say, I don't want to give too much away, was also just really hurting my ears. It's like the same voice you hear over and over when a creature or an entity is saying something and trying to be scary. You're just kind of laughing at it because it's that bad. Now, Blumhouse is starting to really become a company that I kind of look out for now in a negative way. I know they've had some good movies in the past. Halloween 2018 was one I really liked. I don't mind that trilogy at all, to be honest. But more often than not, when I see a Blumhouse movie, it's very, very tame, and it's got these jump scares all over the place. Like I said, Night Swim, this it's like they're trying to ruin the horror genre a little bit. Now, some may say that that's quite harsh, but it just seems to have that name attached all the time. Like even Megan from last year, a lot of people like that film. I just thought it was a very bang average movie, and they seem to do this a lot. Average, average, average to poor movies, and they might get one banger out there, but again, they do make money. Let's look at the Five Nights at Freddy's film. I know they get big failures as well with the Exorcist Believer and stuff, but more often than not, they do seem to hit it out the park and make money. So they're doing something right, but I just wish they'd deliver, a little bit more in quality going forward with their releases. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I did not like this film, guys, at all. It's one of my least favourite movies from this year. I think I've got it second to bottom, just below, no way up. So it's just another one of them paranormal horror flicks, and I can appreciate them sometimes, but this is one of the poorer ones in that subgenre, easily. And probably one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen at the cinema. Okay guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, if you think this is going to be a spoiler, please turn the video off now, but I think of it more as an Easter egg, and it is at the start of the movie anyway. But we see this family move into the house on Elm Street in Springwood. And of course, that is from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I really hope this is not a hint to Blumhouse acquiring that franchise, because I really don't want it to go to them. But we'll see. It probably isn't. I'm looking too much into it. But if you just want to look at it as an Easter egg, you know, another nod to a classic horror movie, then that's fun enough. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. Please let me know your thoughts on Imaginary, and I'll get back to you all, I promise. Please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if horror is your sort of thing. And there will be more 2024 horror movie reviews in the link down below. Thanks so much everyone, you take care, and I'll see you on the next video.